In this video, I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Scarlet, but every time the game glitches, it gets harder. These games are polished masterpieces, so how hard could this really be? Oh, nope, there it is. There it is. There's that T-pose. Well, at least this weird bug gives me a chance to show you exactly what I mean when I say the game is going to get harder. I had my friends make a list with a whole bunch of ridiculous rules, mods, and challenges that'll stand in our way as we try to beat the game. They call it the List of Pain. This T-pose is our very first glitch, which activates the first punishment on the List of Pain. Can't move on until you find a shiny. That means before we're even able to take on the first gym, we're gonna have to find an ultra rare shiny Pokemon. More on that later. First, I'd like to introduce you to our character, the playtester. Our unassuming little friend here just started their very first job at Nintendo as the head playtester for Pokemon. Oh, and also they're an alien from outer space who has never actually played a video game before. Explains a lot about these games, doesn't it? Our mission as the playtester is simple but important. We need to search the game for all the glitches, bugs, and exploits that we can find. After investigating the opening cutscene, we take our first steps in the world. We manage to make it through the beginning of the game glitch-free, then we get to choose our starter. Oh, I love him so much. Now with our sweet new duck, we head down to the beach to face our rival Nemona in our first showdown. Along the way, we try to let Quaxly out of its ball for a quick stroll, then... Oh, that's a glitch. Okay, that graphical bug activates the next item on the List of Pain, which is... oh. Release your starter. I was so excited to use you, Miracle. Just like that, we're going to have to release our beautiful build boy as soon as we possibly can. But we don't have any other Pokemon just yet, so first we have to go through our battle with Nemona using the duck. We clean up her Fuecoco in our first face-off without much issue, then... Whoa. That was a glitch, wasn't it? Oh, fantastic camera work in the first battle here, guys. You really nailed that one. I'm not 100% sure that that weird disappearing act was actually a glitch, but to ignore something strange goes against everything that we stand for as a playtester. So we must accept our next punishment from the List of Pain. It says here, as punishment for Quaxly's weird disappearing act, everybody watching has to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Nah, just kidding, that's not on the list. But I would appreciate if you did take a second to like and subscribe because my New Year's resolution is to reach 500,000 subscribers before the end of this year. It's a big goal, but I know we can do it. I just need your help. Thanks. The actual punishment for that little glitch is one that I added to the list personally. I found a mod that is simply called Low Poly Pokemon. You might be able to guess what it does. That low poly's so bad. Yes, going forward, every Pokemon will be locked into their lower resolution form. And to be honest, I would say this makes the game better. From here, we head out into the wide world and catch a Lechonk, which allows us to follow through with our punishment of releasing Quaxly. Bye! After catching a few other team members from the surrounding area, we hear the cry of an injured Pokemon over the side of this cliff. So we hop down to investigate. Oh, it's low poly too! That is so amazing. We give this big boy our sandwich to make it feel better, then we follow our new low poly friend Koraidon past the hordes of cone-faced Houndour until we meet our second rival Arven on the other side. We defeat him, catch some more Pokemon, battle Nemona again at the gates of Mesagoza, and beat our last friend Penny. Wait. Do you smell that?
I'm afraid that would be me. I haven't been washing myself recently.
What? Why have you not been washing yourself?
I took a look at my soap's ingredient list. You ever looked at one of those things? It's got more chlorides than a public pool.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But you will have to start washing yourself because we have these soaps from today's sponsor, Dr. Squatch. Dr. Squatch makes all sorts of fantastic, all-natural soaps, deodorants, shampoos, you name it. I've been using these soaps for a couple days now, and they're the real deal. This is coming from a guy whose uncle is a certified soap maker, so I know my soap. The two soaps I've been liking the most are the Wood Barrel Bourbon, and also, I've been really loving the Pine Tar. This is my go-to. It's replaced my body wash.
Oh, I'd love to try it out, but I only use soaps that have convenient subscriptions and 100% satisfaction guarantees, so...
What are you even saying, Stashy? Did you research this at all? They do have a subscription plan and a satisfaction guarantee. Don't be like Stashy. Check out Dr. Squatch by clicking the link in the description and use code DSQQuinn for 20% off your first order. I'm gonna continue to use these soaps after I run out, so if you want to smell like me for some reason, I highly recommend you check them out. Now Now after all of that, we finally head into school. In school, we learn about the 8 Pokemon gyms, 5 Titan Pokemon, and 5 bosses of Team Star, all of which we of course will have to defeat to beat the game. After many days and nights spent studying at the academy, we're sent off unsupervised into the wide world of Paldea. But before we set off to begin our journey, we learn how to ride our steed Koraidon, which lets us answer the burning question I know you all have.
Oh, it is Low Poly.
Yeah. Oh yes, we get to ride the low polygon. Finally freed from the tutorial, we arrive at our first major challenge. A challenge that will seriously put our patience to the test. The hunt for our shiny begins. We're forced to find and catch a shiny before we can even battle the first gym. Believe it or not, I haven't actually done any shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet since they've come out, so not only do I have to actually hunt for the shiny, I also have to figure out how the process works in this game. Real quick, if you don't know, shiny Pokemon are super rare. Each time a Pokemon spawns, it has a roughly 1 in 4,096 chance of being a shiny. These odds are not great, but there are various in-game things you can do as the player to increase your chances of finding them. The most efficient shiny hunting method that I was able to find for this early in the game is the mass outbreak method. Every day, there are a few mass outbreaks of Pokemon in random locations across Paldea. Not only do these outbreaks cause a bunch of the same Pokemon to spawn in a small area, but also if you defeat 60 or more of the Pokemon in an outbreak, the rest of the Pokemon that spawn there will have increased odds of being shiny. This increases the odds from 1 in 4,096 all the way up to about 1 in 1,365. After increasing the odds, you're able to enter and exit a picnic from the menu to respawn all the Pokemon in the area. This allows you to almost infinitely search for a shiny at these higher odds. So we reset the area with picnics for a couple hours until... There it is. There it is. There it is. Here she blows. Nice little shiny Smoliv. Not only is this a great shiny, but now that we've found our new friend Kalamata, we're finally able to make some progress in the story. Before we battle the first gym leader, we double back to Mesagoza to do some shopping for held items, and we're flying behind a bush. This is kind of sick. Alrighty. This glitch activates our next punishment, which is a nice little mod that we cooked up specifically for this challenge.
Even better than Mama!
This mod gives every trainer in the game a team of 6 random Pokemon with maxed out stats. So this is gonna get interesting. We make our way over to the first gym and complete the gym challenge, then we head into battle the Queen of Croissants, Katie. While her Pokemon may be random, in this mod, the major trainers all keep their type-themed teams. This means that the insect specialist Katie still has a team full of tiny bugs. Well, mostly tiny bugs. We torch our first few team members with our newly evolved Fletchinder, then she brings in her Cleavor. What? That's in this game? Is this her ace? This can't be her ace. That did not do very much damage. I need to charm it, I think. We need to hope for a miss and get a charm on it. Oh, it's not missing. Oh, it lived. How? Maybe a miss? What is... Oh! Affection? Yes! Yes! With that insane luck from our Azurill, we're able to use Charm to minimize this Cleavor's attack, then poison it and chip it down with some bullet seeds from our Hoppip. Finally, we send Fletchinder back in to deal with her terastallizing Ace Scatterbug. Easy. After the battle, we commemorate our victory with a quick selfie. That is such a terrifying picture. From here, we move on to find our next objective, the first Titan. Before we get to that, though, we decide to do some exploring. We head into the cave where we first met Koraidon earlier in the game to grab some TMs and items, and... Yep, there it is. Why is this game so broken? Oh my goodness, look at that. Bye! Alright, what does this get us then? What does this little glitch earn us? Wait, can I not get back in? Hold on. What? Am I stuck? Am I stuck now? We managed to find our way back inside the map, then head into the canyons of Paldea to seek out the first Titan. We climb a watchtower in the area to get a better vantage point, but as we're working our way up to the top, we see something disturbing. Wait, that's horrible. I'm like clipping inside of my own face. Not only is this graphical bug my new sleep paralysis demon, but it also earns us a nice little punishment. This is when we get to spin the wheel of types for the very first time. As you might have guessed, this wheel contains every type in the game. Whatever type the wheel lands on will be permanently banned for the rest of this challenge. Water? Oh. That's a strong one to lose. With water types banned, we say goodbye to Lil Guy, as well as any other fishy friends for the rest of the game. Then we resume our journey. From the watchtower, it's just a few steps over to the Crab Titan's lair, but this game is so buggy that we can't even make it that far without finding another glitch. Oh my god, look at that. Do you see that crab? Okay, let's see what's next on the list here. Release a random Pokemon from your party. Like the good playtester we are, we roll a random number generator to decide who gets the boot. Goodbye, Charlie. I barely knew ya. We catch a couple new Pokemon to fill the bread-shaped void Charlie left in our heart, then incredibly we're able to walk the rest of the way to the Titan's lair glitch-free and challenge the big crab to a battle. We use our newly evolved pal Palmo to smack this cloth around until it runs off. We start to chase after it, but... Whoa. That right there would be a glitch. What is that giant PNG doing there? This weird business on the minimap is a particularly strange bug, which is fitting because the punishment is also quite strange. The creators of the list got a little lazy with this one. It just says, IDK, ask AI for a rule that makes the game harder. Sure thing. All right, ChatGPT, give me a single rule that will make a Pokemon game harder to beat. Okay. No healing items in battle. All right, we'll take that. Thank you, Supreme All-Knowing ChatGPT. Please let my family go. With healing items banned in battle, we chase the Titan down the cliff as it eats something strange, which seems to power it up. Luckily, our buddy Arvin swoops in just in time to help us defeat this cranky crustacean. Since the Titan is dead now, we're free to help ourselves to its precious Herba Mystica. This herb powers up our Koraidon and lets us derp around the world at an even higher speed. From the Titan's lair, it's not too far until we reach the town of Artisan, which is the home of our next objective, the second gym. Before we challenge the leader, we decide to try to evolve our Palmo, which turns out to be a serious mistake. You're telling me he can't even keep up with me when I'm running full speed? Oh my. Come on. I honestly don't know what they were thinking with some of these evolutions. Anyway, we make our way into the gym, then complete the gym challenge of hunting down some missing Sunflora throughout the town. After we wrangle the Flora, we head in to challenge the gym leader Brassius. We trade blows with his lead Applin until Fletchender takes it out with a low poly peck. Then we send in Clodsire against his Tinkatuff. Oh, that one looks really bad. Nice. Sploosh. He follows up this hilarious pink Pokemon with a much more menacing foe. That's the ugliest one by far. Thankfully, our 4 times effective pecks crush whatever that thing is. Then Clodsire and Fletchender carry us all the way to his final Pokemon, Wugtrio? It looks so dumb, it's just got one tongue. We managed to not hit ourselves in confusion IRL and clean up this sea worm with ease. With the second gym completed, we head across the map to face the second Titan. This Titan seems to be pretty mad at someone who lives below them because it's dropping more boulders down this hill than a nun in church. Oh my god, that was bad. Who writes this stuff? Generally, these boulders are pretty easy to avoid, but we're the playtester, remember? And our job is to make sure that everything is working correctly. So we spend some time messing with these rolling rocks until... I feel like that's not intended. We make note of yet another bug, then proceed down the list of pain. The next item is no more terastallizing. On its own, that's not too bad, but these rules are really starting to add up. We finish up our fun on the hill, then head up to take on the Titan Bombardier. Pawmot is able to nuzzle and arm thrust us through the first phase, then the Titan flies off and powers up. We begin the second phase with Arven by our side. Turn 1, we paralyze this bird with a nuzzle, then... That's scary. We nope right out of there, then have Clodsire clean up the rest of the fight. During our celebratory picnic, Arven reveals his true motivation for seeking out all of this Urban Mystica. This is my... It looks even stupider than normal. Honestly, I don't think that is worth all this trouble. We scale down the mountainside and head over to the first Team Star hideout to challenge the first of the 5 leaders of this criminal organization. Along the way, we level our Smoliv up enough that it evolves into its second form, Doliv, whose shiny I absolutely adore. Then we arrive at the gates of the base. Before we're able to head into the hideout, first we have to battle the grunts guarding the entrance. This is when we realize that not only do the gym leaders all have full teams of super strong Pokemon, but so does everyone else. Oh, they're all gonna have 6 Pokemon too. Oh, that's actually terrifying. Luckily, we make it through this battle unscathed, then head into the hideout. Before we can fight the leader Giacomo, first we have to defeat 30 of his henchmen's Pokemon in a battle in the open field. Oh, sweet! A fun new mechanic for us to playtest. Nope, nothing janky here, just some good old-fashioned engaging gameplay. This gets our playtester's seal of approval. We take a moment to collect ourselves after all that fun we just had before we face off against the Dark-type specialist Giacomo. Pawmot, Doliv, and Clodsire take turns running a super effective train on Big G's team until we defeat his 6th Pokemon, Umbreon. But for some reason, the battle doesn't end there. Oh, he's got 7. Oh, that's crazy. Wait, what? That's actually really bad. This 7th Pokemon does catch us off guard, but thankfully we're able to take this Revavroom down relatively easily. Surely the rest of the Team Star battles will go this smoothly. Before we head out, we snap a quick selfie with Giacomo to commemorate his big L, then begin our journey over to the town of Levincia to take on the next gym leader. On our way there, we pass back through Mesagoza, where we accidentally jump off a cliff on the edge of the city. Instead of falling to our death like you might expect, we discover a very weird loading zone that teleports us up to the path to the Elite Four instead of resetting us inside of the city. That doesn't seem right. Alright, what's next on the old list of pain? Oh yeah, it's probably easier to just show you this next one instead of describing it. It's called the Corporate Hellscape, and it changes the in-game ads into real-life ads. For whatever reason. YouTube TV. Oh, this is so funny. Why someone created this mod, I do not know, but I do appreciate it. Anyway, we head into Iono's gym building to begin the gym challenge, only to be interrupted by Nemona and forced into a battle. It seems that our buddy didn't get the whole 6 Pokemon memo, so Pawmot and Clodsire dust her ass without much issue. With Nemona out of the way, we can begin Iono's gym challenge. Normally, this challenge is a nice easy Where's Waldo puzzle with a couple small fights, but since every trainer has 6 Pokemon, these fights are a bit more difficult. Despite a couple close calls in these trainer battles, that thing is terrifying. We managed to make it through unscathed, then battle the gym leader Iono. She kicks things off with a spicy lead of fully evolved Luxray. Clodsire is able to take it out with a couple mud shots, then one-shot her Magneton with another 4 times effective mud shot. Next, Iono brings in an Electrode, but not the Electrode you might expect. Oh, that is the Grass Electric Electrode. Thankfully, this thing has the same moveset that her Miss Magus normally does, so despite hitting herself in confusion a few times, come on, man, we're able to bring it down without much issue. We swap to Pawmot to take out our Voltorb, then take out our Toxtricity with a 4 times effective dig from our big Lechonk. Finally, she's down to just erase Jolteon, who is really too frail to do anything. Jolteon? I'm not worried about Jolteon. Oh, noes. After the battle, we take a quick selfie with the Stream Queen. Screen cap this quick. Okay. Then have a surprisingly uneventful journey to the next Team Star hideout. We defeat the guard out front, then head into the base and put the smackdown on the grunts inside. Eventually, the hothead leader Mela has no choice but to burn her way onto the battlefield. We lead with our Minecraft cow Knackle stack against whatever that thing is. Despite getting burned by its very first flame wheel, we take out her Torkoal, then she brings in an Arboliva. Why does it have that? But it just dies to an acrobatics from Fletchinder. Next, she sends in Typhlosions in this game? That low ball is so bad. Looks like Typhlosion might have had a rough year. We put this guy out of its misery with some mud shots, then bring in Cyclizar as Mela sends in her Talonflame. We're able to squeak out a win against this bird, but at this point, our team is starting to show some real damage. Thankfully, Pawmot takes out her Pyroar with the single turn of arm thrusts, then we take out her Snatch Salazzle with a 4x effective mud shot. But we're not quite out of the woods yet. Remember, Mela still has her 7th Pokemon, the boss Revavroom. It lands a Screech on our Clodsire, dropping our defense and forcing us to swap out and bring in our Pig. Just as we do that, a miracle happens. It starts to rain. This rain is super lucky because it weakens Mela's fire type attacks. This allows us to survive her Revavroom's offensive onslaught and barely squeak out a victory. Now that we've quenched Mela's flames, we double back to Lavincia, then head into the desert above the town. Here we get to work tracking down the 3rd Titan. Before long, we're able to find the Titan Earthworm, who somehow manages to look even better in low resolution. We have a weirdly romantic moment with the beast. Then we thrust Pawmot's arms down its throat in 2 consecutive battles. After we snag the Herba Mystica, we traverse the caves to make our way out of the desert, when all of a sudden... Nothing quite like randomly falling. For a minute there, I kind of forgot about the list of pain. That was a nice minute. The next item on the list is another difficulty mod. This mod is called Blind Pokemon Battles. Normally in this game, after you defeat an enemy trainer's Pokemon, the game tells you which Pokemon they're going to send in next. This mod hides that information so we won't know what to expect. Let me show you exactly how this works in our battle against the guard of the next team starbase. As you can see here, after we defeat his lead Magnezone, the game tells us that the trainer is about to send out another Pokemon, but not which Pokemon. We do swap to Earthworm here because typically trainers will try to counter your current Pokemon when they switch, which is exactly what our little friend does with a ground type Ursaluna. We beat down this little boy's team until we find our newly caught Cufant staring down his Skuntank. We're at full health, so we decide to go for a super effective Bulldoze. What? Whoa! What just happened? Apparently, I wasn't really paying attention here, so I didn't notice that we had our defense dropped by Screech on the previous turn. That is our first official Pokemon death, Rip Cubby. After the battle, I was wondering why that fight felt so hard, and turns out it's not just because of the new mod. Oh, I'm supposed to go to the water gym first. Didn't even realize that I was going out of order. So we leave the forest for the time being to travel over to Cascarafa, where we help the forgetful gym leader Kofu recover his wallet. Since we were such a little helpful errand boy, Kofu agrees to a battle. Before we take him on, we add an electric type Wattrel to the team to help us out with Kofu's water types. Then we ride the elevators up to the top of the city to challenge the gym. We take out his Pelipper with a spark from Pawmot, then make a hard read and swap to Dolliv. This read pays off big time as he sends in a Whiscash who dies to a 4x effective energy ball. From here, we swap back and forth between these two a couple more times until Kofu is down to his final Pokemon. We send in our fully healthy Wattrel as Kofu brings in a Golduck who terastallizes. Should be a pretty good matchup for us, and we even get a lucky paralysis on our first spark. Whoa! Easily calculated. I knew the critical Aqua Tail wasn't enough to defeat us. You thought I was worried, didn't you? We finish out the fight on the next turn, then after the battle, our sweet Dolliv evolves into its final and my absolute favorite form, our Boliva. At this point, it's actually time for us to head back over to finish what we started with Team Star. We waltz right into the unguarded base and beat up a bunch of Pokemon as we try to lure out the leader Atticus. Eventually, we've caused enough of a ruckus that Atticus is forced to show his face. Well, at least part of his face. This fight is normally a pretty big doozy on its own, but with the extra rules that we've racked up throughout this video, it could be a real nightmare. Clodsire takes out his lead Glimmet, then he brings in a Quillfish. It's got Bulldoze? Why does it have Bulldoze? Given this fish's propensity to bulldoze, we swap to Earthworm, whose ability Earth Eater makes it immune to ground type attacks, meaning it's able to clean up this pointy little guy along with the rest of Atticus's Pokemon all the way up until we have to bring in our Wattrel to deal with this annoying recovering Toxapex. Finally, his big bad Revavroom comes in. We swap to Earthworm, who's immune to its super powerful poison attack Noxious Torque, but it turns out this car also has the move Flame Charge, which hits Orther super effectively. We get a little bit of damage with a couple bulldozes, but eventually we're forced to swap around the team and slowly build up damage as this thing beats every single one of our Pokemon into a pulp. Eventually we end up in a one-hit showdown with our Clodsire versus his hulking Revavroom. Throughout the battle, this car has been using the move Spin Out, which lowers the user's speed by 2 stages. That combined with the Mud Shot we landed the turn before this puts this car at 5 speed drops. You know, Pokemon may be a game that's based on a bunch of complicated equations, but
sometimes you have to believe. Let's go, Whoop.
no! No! Huh. That was definitely supposed to be more inspiring. With a heavy heart, we finish off the Revavroom, then traverse through the treacherous Dalazapa passage, making sure to avoid any and all potential glitches. Eventually, we arrive at the town of Medali. Without wasting any time, we head into the gym to battle the gym leader, Larry. If you couldn't tell by looking at him, this unassuming normal man specializes in the normal type. But somehow, a Wugtrio snuck onto his team as his lead. We brought Pawmot out first with the intention to use its fighting type against Larry's normal type Pokemon, but this will work too. We one-shot this sea worm with a spark, but take a yawn in exchange. Not wanting our pal to fall asleep, we bring in Knucklestack as Larry sends in his...
His Pathra.
This is all just weird. Our Minecraft cow gets some chip damage on this bird, then we swap out to Wattrell to finish it off. Finally, we bring Pawmot back in against his Blissey. Pal karate chops through this big egg as well as Larry's Zangoose and Gumshoos until he brings in his Ace Wordier. Since this thing is a psychic normal dual type, we don't want to mess around with leaving our fighting type in to face it. So we make an instant swap to Talonflame, and it's a good thing we did because this deer instantly terastallizes into a psychic type. Then it gets huge damage on our Talonflame, so we have to bring in Earthworm to take out the trash. After defeating Larry, we head outside where we're ambushed by Nemona and forced into another battle. This battle ends up being a little bit strange. We take out our lead Clawitzer, then she sends in
Another Clawitzer?
we hit this thing with a spark, which doesn't quite kill, then...
That would be so... What? Pal!
That damage was absolutely insane. We bring in our Balava, who avenges its fallen comrade, then we keep our tree in as she brings in her surprise third Pokemon, Clawitzer. After defeating it, the plot thickens as we stay in and defeat her next 2 Pokemon, Clawitzer and Clawitzer. Finally, Nemona hits us with a huge curveball as she brings in her final Pokemon, Clawitzer, in a funny hat. Thanks to the vast array of healing moves that our Balava has access to, it outlasts the all-you-can-eat shrimp buffet that was Nemona's team. You might have noticed that we've been able to make a miraculous amount of progress in the last few minutes without encountering any glitches. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. As we're riding through a cave, this happens.
Ah, yeah, the old Pokemon in the wall, huh? Classic.
What is next on our little list of punishments?
Crouch walk to next gym? Crouch walk to next gym?
You all probably haven't spent too much time crouch walking in this game, so let me just tell you, it's slow. Painfully slow.
What's that floating Pokeball on the right side of the screen there? I spin a wheel and I can only use that type for the next gym. What type are we going to have to use for the next gym?
Alright, the Wheel of Types has just declared that we can only use Steel types against the next gym.
Yo! Whoa! Whoa!
When you're forced to slow down and take your time in the world, you really start to notice things that you might have overlooked before.
Just a casual full odds shiny. Laggy crouch walk, nothing better. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, baby. The true experience right here. We're getting there.
Eventually, we encounter something else quite curious.
Is that guy stuck in the tree? Oh, the next thing on the list is release a random Pokemon.
Thankfully, just before we encountered this glitch, we replaced both of our shinies with Steel types for the next gym, so this roll is much less stressful. We load up the random number generator, then...
Who's gonna be? Lucky number 5. Tinky Man. Ugh. Bye, Yankee.
Thankfully, it's not too much further from here until we arrive at the town of Montenevera. Eventually, we're able to slide down into town and lurk into the gym building, which frees us from this crouch-walking prison. Standing tall and upright, we begin the gym challenge, which has us warming up the local crowd for the main act. This gym is all in the doubles format, so these battles are tough, but we do manage to sneak through this challenge and earn the right to face off against the gym leader, MC Rhyme. We send out Bronzong and Revavroom against her leads, which end up being a Gengar and, for some reason, a Citadel. Bronzong tanks a Shadow Sneak and a Sucker Punch from both of Rhyme's Pokemon as we set up a shift gear on our Revavroom to boost our speed and attack.
I feel like it's gonna Sucker Punch again. Maybe we try to Hypnosis it?
Our read was correct and the Sucker Punch fails as we put the Citadel to bed and take out our Gengar with an Iron Head. Feeling the vibe, the crowd gives us their energy and boosts our Pokemon's attack stats. Unfortunately, Bronzong is too low to stay in and take advantage of this boost, so we swap it out for Caparaja. On that same turn, we take out our next Pokemon, Miss Magus, with a boosted Iron Head. The next turn, we go for another shift gear on Revavroom and take out our Citadel with the Heavy Slam from our Elephant. From here, we shift our focus to finish off our Mastiff and our Arboliva before refocusing on our big bulky Basculegion to take the fight home. Honestly, that went pretty well, especially considering we were using a collection of random steel Pokemon that we caught while we were crouch walking up the side of a mountain. Our next stop on our quest is the Asado Desert, where we seek out the 4th Titan. As we're working our way there, we find and catch a Charcadet, then head over to this random town that we crouch walked through before to get the Auspicious Armor, which we use to evolve it into an Armarouge. From here, we head deep into the heart of the desert to seek out the next Titan, the prehistoric beast, Great Tusk. We head up to duke it out with the Great Beast and make quick work of it with Kalamata. After eating up all the Herba Mystica in its cave, our Koraidon unlocks a very special ability, the ability to glide. Since I started making this video, there's been a certain glitch that I've been dying to test out. We climb all the way up to the highest peak in the region, jump off, and pull off something magical.
I believe I can fly, soaring, fly.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
Literally clipping out of the game, we're going too fast. Oh my god, where are we going? What's happening?
We do this glitch a couple times until we accidentally run into an invisible wall, which triggers a Team Star cutscene. Now that we've had our fun with this little exploit, we have to pay the piper and accept our punishment for abusing the game. For some reason, this time around, the List of Pain decided to have mercy on our poor soul. We actually get to add in a mod called Koraidon Super Jump. This mod does exactly what it sounds like.
Super Jump.
With our supercharged Koraidon, we head over to the town of Alfornada, which is the home of the next gym. We head into the gym, only to be interrupted by Nemona, who forces us into a battle. Much like the last time we fought, this time Nemona's team is also a bit strange. She leads with the Bramblegast, which goes down to our Armarouge, then she brings in her next Pokemon, Bramblegast.
It's gonna be another situation where they're all Bramblegast.
For some reason, Nemona dumped the Clawitsers and decided to catch a whole team of Bramblegasts instead. This team does definitively worse for her than her Shrimp Squad, as we managed to systematically defeat every single spooky plant without losing any Pokemon. Now we're able to head back to the gym and participate in the weirdest dance-off I've ever seen. The competition is no match for our smooth moves and killer groove. We're able to easily pass the challenge and take on the gym leader Tulip and her psychic types. Turn 1, we set up a Calm Mind, then fire off a super effective Shadow Ball.
Of course it doesn't kill.
We do manage to finish it off on the next turn, then bring in Baby Maker, who defeats her next Pokemon, Gothitelle. Unfortunately, we're too low to stay in, so we swap to Armarouge as she brings in a Delphox. Of course, our dud of a Pokemon does basically no damage with the Shadow Ball, then after taking a Psychic, it's way too low to stay in, so we swap to Baby Maker.
Ooh, oh. Okay.
Ugh. From here, we finish this fox off with the dig from Babe 2 Pig in the City, then bring in our Arboliva, who defeats her next 2 Pokemon. Finally, Tulip sends in her ace, Espeon. This cat dog instantly terastallizes, which turns it from a regular Pokemon killer into a certified Pokemon killer. This beast proceeds to one-shot our Wattrel and take out our Revavroom, but before it went down, Van Gogh did enough damage that our Arboliva is able to come in and finish this thing with an energy ball.
Goodness, oh my goodness, that was a terrible fight. That was such a tragic, bad fight.
Yeah, that went about as poorly as it could have. Not only did we lose a bunch of Pokemon, but also there was a floating person in the background of the battle the whole time, which means that we have to go back to the list of pain. This time, the list says that going forward, we can only use Pokemon from Paldea on our team. So before we head to our next objective, first we need to rebuild our shattered squad using only Paldean Pokemon. We head to the desert and pick up a bite-sized version of the Great Tusk Titan and pull some old favorites out of retirement. Then we head back up to Glaciato Mountain to take on the 8th gym. We easily clear the downhill time trial, then head into battle against the Ice-type gym leader Grusha. We get a nice matchup with Charlos against his lead Frostlass, who sets up a Tailwind to boost its team's speed, but goes down to a Flamethrower. Next, he sends in his Avalugg.
I cannot tell if this is Hisuian or not, so best of luck. It's faster because of the Tailwind. It almost kills me. Okay, it's, that would be a Hisuian Avalugg right there.
We know that it's probably going to go for a second Earthquake, so we swap to Arboliva, then thinking it'll probably go for some Ice-type move, we swap to Earthworm, who comes in, lives through an Icicle Crash, then takes it out with an Iron Head. Next, we bring Charlos back in as Grusha sends in Beartic. We hit it with a Flamethrower, which of course it barely survives.
Liquidation? What? Whatever. That Pokemon's bad anyway.
After losing Charlos, we use our free swap to bring Earthworm back in, and he proceeds to finish this bear off, then easily smacks down Grusha's Weavile, Cryogonal, and gets big damage on his ace Glaceon before getting swapped out for Babe 2, who cleans this dog up. At this point, I don't even know why I bother using Pokemon that aren't Earthworm. Now that we've successfully defeated all 8 gyms, our focus shifts to finishing up Team Star and the Titans. But before we get to that, first we go on a Paldean Safari, catching a Tadbulb that we evolve into a Bellibolt, a Citadel that we evolve into a Cetitan, and taking our little friend Papa from a Pawniard all the way to a King Gambit. After all that, we head out to the next Team Star hideout. Before we can storm the castle, we have a battle out front with a man who used to be the director of our school. This is pretty uneventful other than this.
Hoopa? What is this? What even is this character?
We do manage to survive the wrath of his Hoopa and secure a victory. With the old director out of the way, we're free to head into the hideout and do that really fun thing that you get to do in these Team Star sections until the boss Ortega comes out to face us. Ortega specializes in fairy types, so we use the tag team of our 2 steel types, King Gambit and Earthworm, to methodically dismantle his team until he brings in his Revavroom.
Little bit worried about this Revavroom, but we'll see how it goes.
We do have to swap around the team a bit in order to defeat this thing. In the end, of course, it's Earthworm clutching it out like he always does. After defeating Ortega, we waste no time and head straight over to seek out the next Titan. We know that Dondozo only want one thing in this world, and it's disgusting. After its Tatsugiri appetizer, it's time for the main course, which is an energy ball from Arboliva that we shove down its throat. We follow the Titan, team up with Arven, then defeat it for a second time, only to find ourselves staring down the little fish from earlier who is honkin' mad that we tricked it into getting eaten. So we're forced to defeat it as well before we're able to get our final piece of Herba Mystica. Now that we've dealt with all 8 gyms and all 5 Titans, we just have one last thing left to do in the main storyline. We have to defeat the most powerful boss in Team Star, Aerie. Aerie is a fighting type specialist, which makes me extremely worried as I look at our current team and see that every single one of them is weak to the fighting type. So we seek out the only thing that can possibly save us now, our savior, Flamigo. We catch this pink prodigy, but it still doesn't feel like quite enough. We decide that we should have at least one other Pokemon that doesn't take super effective damage from fighting types, so we start searching for a graveyard. As we're searching for this spooky dog, something amazing happens.
Oh! Yo, that's a that's a full-on Sneasel. What in the world? What is going on?
We may not be able to use it, but still very cool to find. After catching our pink Sneasel, we finally manage to catch a graveyard, evolve it into a Houndstone, then make our way over to Aerie's lair. We defeat the guard out front, then fight our way through the faceless hordes of grunts in the base until we're able to battle Aerie. Knowing it's pretty much our only hope to beat this fight, before the battle we taught Flamigo the move Bulk Up, which is a move that raises its attack and defense every time we use it. We get one Bulk Up off against her lead Toxicroak, only to take a critical poison jab right to the face in return. With no other choice, we have to cut our setup short and take this thing out with the Brave Bird.
Does this kill me, the recoil? 2 HP.
Though we may be low on HP, not all hope is lost. You see, Flamigo has a little move called Roost, which heals 50% of your Pokemon's HP on use. We're able to roost up against Aries Heracross, set up a couple more bulk ups, and take it out with another Brave Bird. Same with her next two Pokemon, Gallade and Rabsca. The recoil from all these Brave Birds does leave us pretty low as she sends in Hawlucha. So far, Flamigo has been able to outspeed every one of Aries' Pokemon, but that's not the case with Hawlucha.
Rip Migo.
I sort of knew going into this that it was probably a suicide mission for our pink bird, but still hurts to see it go. After Flamigo goes down, we're able to use Belly Bolt to defeat her Hawlucha and Phalanx, then finally we find ourselves up against her last Pokemon, Revavroom. It comes in, outspeeds our Belly Bolt, and takes it out with a high horsepower, so we swap to Houndstone and start dropping this thing's attack with Charm. Decreasing this Revavroom's attack is just about our only chance at beating it because every time we hit it, its defense is boosted by its ability Stamina. After hitting it a couple times, our attacks start doing basically nothing, but since we were able to drop its attack all the way down, that's not too much of a problem. We avoid getting crit and take it out over the next 12 or so turns. With Aerie defeated, we have officially completed the main part of the 3 storylines and entered the endgame. We drop our newly deceased Pokemon into the mass grave that used to be our Pokemon box, then we have a bit of a brilliant idea. You remember before when we went supersonic and we were able to clip through the edge of the world? Well, what if we were able to do that, but instead of going outside of the world, we just skipped right to the end of the game. No Elite Four, no end game, no nothing. Just credits rolling and a big win for your boy. Sounds pretty nice, right? We head up to the top of this remote plateau, then start building up our speed. We build and build until we go supersonic. With this much speed, we should be able to fly through anything in our way. We clip right through the side of the mountain, into the crater, under the map, and get reset back where we started. Okay, that obviously didn't work. To make matters worse, as a punishment for our attempt to escape this challenge, we have to spin the wheel of types again.
The banned type is Ice. Riptide. Riptide.
Not only are ice types banned going forward, but as we were reading the list, I peeked at the next punishment. This punishment was 2 simple words: you fail. That means if we see one more glitch, we completely fail, and this was all for nothing. Yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't have tried to skip to the end of the game. Live and learn, you know? We rebuild our team, then fast travel over to the Elite Four building, making sure to get inside as quickly as possible to avoid any funny business in the wild. In this game, the Pokemon League begins with an oral exam, which we ace without even studying, then proceed to the battle part of the assessment, where we face off against the 4 members of the Elite Four, then fight the champion. Our first opponent is the ground type specialist, Rika. Unfortunately for our blue-haired friend here, this is a fantastic matchup for us. Our Balava makes quick work of her first 2 Pokemon, then we send in Great Tusk to deal with her Palisand. From here we bring our Balava back in to sweep up the rest of these dusty ground types with a few more energy balls. After Rika, we fight the tiny baby steel specialist, Poppy. We take out her lead Klefki with an Earthquake as it sets up Stealth Rocks, same with her next 2 Pokemon, Magnezone and Tinkatink, then she sends in her Bronzong, and we learn the hard way that it has the ability to levitate.
Ah, it does. Shucks. Ow.
So we swap to King Gambit and take it out with a Kowtow Cleave. Next up is our Corviknight, who does give us some pretty serious trouble.
Ow!
But eventually we're able to swap around and get enough chip damage on it to finish it with an energy ball from our Balava of all things. Finally, she brings in her ace, which turns out to be a Lucario. This is pretty unlucky as it comes in and instantly terastallizes. Knowing that we'll be in some pretty serious trouble if we aren't able to get some damage on this thing, we stay in for a turn to set up Leech Seed with Kalamata. We swap to Houndstone, then Hagrid, no! Thankfully, we're able to bring King Gambit back in and clean this thing up before it causes any more trouble than it already has. After the battle, we replace Hagrid with a Cyclizar, then challenge the next member of the Elite Four, Larry. The gym leader turned elite trainer has changed up his normal type specialty, switching his team over to flying types instead. We take out his lead Drifblim with our King Gambit, then take massive damage from a close combat, and just barely aren't able to take out his next Pokemon, Cloth, with an Earthquake from Garganacl. So we send in Great Tusk to clean it up.
Why is it faster? Why is Cloth faster than me? Oh, because it's +1 speed.
Well, at least the recoil finishes it off. Unfortunately, we're forced to swap to King Gambit as Larry sends in his next Pokemon, Masquerain.
Hopefully this thing doesn't have close combat too. Of course it has close combat.
We barely survive that and fire back with a Rock Tomb to take this thing out. Next, he brings in his Hisuian Braviary as we swap to Earthworm.
Of course it has a form. Why does it have a flamethrower?
I don't know, this was just not my day. We swap around the team, desperately trying to find a way to defeat this big bird until Cyclizar is able to barely clutch it out. At this point, our team is pretty much in shambles, and Larry still has 2 Pokemon left. In an act of desperation, we send out our low HP King Gambit against his Belly Bolt, and end up losing it to a Revelation Dance of all things.
What type was that? Why does that hit neutral? What in the world?
Then we do what we should have done in the first place and send out Great Tusk to Earthquake this big frog. Finally, Larry is down to his last Pokemon, Corviknight. Without any good options, we send in Cyclizar as this thing terastallizes into a blindingly bright Steel type. We lose our Motorcycle Lizard on the same turn, then bring Great Tusk back in. Thanks to Larry opting to terastallize, this Corviknight loses its immunity to ground type attacks, so we're able to outspeed it and take it out with a super effective Earthquake.
That went, not good.
With our team in absolute shambles, we find ourselves staring down the final member of the Elite Four, Hassel. We replace our fallen team members with some seriously bottom-of-the-barrel Pokemon, then enter the battle and hope for the best. Miraculously, Great Tusk is able to pull off the greatest clutch performance since Michael Jordan's flu game, taking out Hassel's Glimmora, Dragalge, Dragapult, and his Salamence before needing to be pulled out just because it got leech seeded. From here, we bring Earthworm in and proceed to max out our defense with Iron Defense against his King Gambit. With our defense maxed, there's not too much this guy can do to us, so we're able to chip it down. Finally, he brings in his ace, Hisuian Goodra. For some reason, this dragon spends the next 6 turns going for Curse instead of attacking, so we're able to clutch it out and move on to face the champion. We make our way up to the roof where we have our final showdown in our champion assessment against the greatest trainer of them all, Geeta. Our Balava deals with her lead Mismagius, then we swap in Earthworm against her next Pokemon, Sandaconda. We sit there and max out our defense, then there's nothing this snake can do other than die. You know, I would really love to tell you that Geeta's team put up a good fight, that she made it close, and that it was a finale worth watching. But if I said any of those things, I would be lying to you, because Earthworm systematically dismantles the rest of her team without breaking a sweat. Defeating Geeta earns us the champion rank and unlocks the final showdown against Nemona. Before we go battle our day 1 rival though, we decide to take care of this Team Star business by confronting the leader of the organization at our school. Since we sustained heavy casualties in the Elite Four, we decide to refill our team with a Dudunsparce and a Mabostiff. Then we head up to the front of our school where we find the director, who wants to battle us for some reason. Okay. We make quick work of his team with Earthworm and Dudunsparce until we find ourselves facing off against his ace Kleavor. This big bug comes in and terastallizes into a grass type for some reason, but as usual, it's no match for the might of Earthworm. After our random battle with the director, we head out to the schoolyard to finally confront the big boss Cassiopeia, who just turns out to be our nerdy friend Penny. Our confrontation culminates with the battle, which I can quickly sum up by telling you her ace was a Glimmet, so you can probably guess how that went for her. After dismantling the region's complex organized crime syndicate, we head out to the lighthouse from the beginning of the game to meet up with Arven. We go inside the building, and on the first floor we find the Professor Sada's lab. The professor gives us a call and tells us that she's in danger and needs our help. She says we need to meet her in the crater in the middle of Paldea with the Scarlet Book in order to save her. Weirdly enough, it seems that Arven is in no rush to save his own mother, instead he wants to battle. We lead with Great Tusk, and Arven sends in Alolan Dugtrio. It's so bad. Alolan Dugtrio is way too frail to stand up to Tusk, so it goes down to an Earthquake. After getting a taste of blood, Great Tusk goes into an absolute frenzy and sweeps the rest of Arven's team with Earthquakes and Brick Breaks without even breaking a sweat. Now that we have thoroughly embarrassed Arven with a single Pokemon, the last thing we need to do before we can save the professor is enlist the help of Nemona. But in order to do that, you already know we have to defeat her in battle. I guess she must have been happy with how things went in Alfornada, because this time around she brings the exact same team of 6 Bramblegasts. Much like the last time she did this, it doesn't go well for her. We beat down her team of Tumbleweeds until we find ourselves up against her biggest, baddest Bramblegast. It terastallizes into a fire type and hits Earthworm with a Torch Song, but Earthworm literally does not care at all and is able to tank the super effective hit and finish the fight with an Earthquake. We team up with our misfit friends and head into the crater to save the professor. If you've been down in here before, you probably know that getting through the crater without any think glitches might be the hardest thing we've had to do so far. We dive deep into the abyss on the back of Koraidon, then get to work unlocking the professor's chamber. We decide to take a little shortcut, then...
Bye, guys. They're just sliding down. Just shot off. All right. That does it. We failed. We failed. Subscribe.